Hello and welcome to this very special show where we're going to be talking about the impact of the hybrid cloud on the factories of the future. Now in India, the impact of digitalization of technology has been immense, but how has it impacted businesses? Today, we're going to be talking about that. Welcome to this show titled Hybrid Cloud Enabling the Factory of the Future in association with HPE and Shro Systems, where I'm going to be talking to a panel of experts and going to be taking a deep dive on this special topic. Allow me to introduce my panel. First up, we have Binita Prasad. She's the Head Information Technology and Digital Saint-Gobain GNO. We have Anirudh Shrotriya, the Managing Director of Shro Systems Private Limited. And finally, we have Sandeep Pendharkar. He is the Senior Director of Services Businesses at Hewlett-Packard Enterprise. Thank you so much, all three of you, for joining me here today. Sandeep, let's kickstart with you. When we talk about the hybrid cloud, what changes are you seeing in the delivery, in the consumption models, so that, at the end of the day, the collaboration, the information flow between all the different parts of a company need to be seamless? And today's workforce is not in the office or in the factory all the time. We're mobile, we're moving. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, so I think it's interesting. With the pandemic, a lot of technology adoption actually got accelerated. Digital transformation was the fore, and it actually moved forward. Organizations have been using a lot of technologies on the cloud, and I think as a next step, there is a question of trying to make resiliency a key factor. And therefore, how we can incorporate the new technologies on the cloud, as well as some of the legacy systems that organizations have, and make them interoperate in as seamless manner as possible. So a key aspect of this is to have aggregation of all the data, ensure that the relevance analytics or the relevant information around that is made available, such that organizations or individuals can take decisions with the right context. And I think in this way, the hybrid part of a organization journey is very critical.
Binita, I'll come to you. So one important part of all this, and as the role of the head of IT of any company, is to convince the management, to convince the board that we need to upgrade or improve our IT systems, which is not always the easiest task, because there is, at the end of the day, some amount of money involved. But in your experience, how have you been able to talk to your management to, I don't know whether the right word is to upgrade, but to enable, to bring in these new technology, IT systems to help improve productivity, efficiency? Tell us your experience.
As you rightly said, it was never easy to convince on investment related to some cloud system, because once it is compared, usually the term of warranty we get on any of the hardware, people use it more than those warranty terms. So once we compare the ROI in terms of investment, it is more on cloud, but those are all direct ROI. But once we talk on indirect ROI, then probably there are many things, like for any manufacturing company, there are not all the time all kind of expertise what it requires to maintain a device is available. So what happens is, when we just try to justify on the ROI part, there are many indirect ROI which are more than the cash investment on any device. For example, to maintain on-prem, there are many experts related to device maintenance, OS maintenance, or we can say for security, which is the most critical part of that. Those are required. Also, accessing anywhere is one of the critical part. So it is very important that the kind of system or application is hosted on the platform, that has to be 24/7 monitored, availability should be there, and then at the same time scalability for the future also is available on those things. So these were the factor in my experience where it was very easy to have a board buy-in to go for a hybrid cloud. Absolutely. And that helped, because these are the need of business these days, where management wanted for any kind of decision, whether they take time, but when it comes to IT, it is just tomorrow.
Exactly. What you said is really important, because technology is updating so quickly that if you install something, I'm a little exaggeration, but it almost seems like it becomes outdated the next day. But Anirudh, let's talk a little bit about your experience also interacting with people.
Yeah, so it's a great question, and I think it's coming at a great time. If you see, there's so much of transformation happening in the manufacturing segment, and I think the entire segment is investing so heavily on tech because that's the only way forward for them. And the pandemic has shown that the advancement of technology is required for any business. So, and when I talk to customers, and at Shro Systems, we have a lot of customers in the manufacturing segment. So we talk to them, I think from the shop floor, just digitizing the shop floor, having a lot of innovation at the shop floor to drive productivity, to drive worker safety, for example. How do you also enhance, for example, errors? If a machine goes down in a shop floor, it means a lot of money is being wasted. But how we can stop that by introducing maybe high-speed cameras on the shop floor, which will then be able to grab data from the shop floor with the help of machine learning and AI technologies, which are then hosted in the cloud, which is on the edge, as we call it. Real-time decisions are taken, and a lot of remote experts then can be brought in, and then they can visually inspect and see if the machines are okay, not okay. They can, for example, give preventive maintenances, and your machine downtime is reduced. This is just one example, but if you go and dig deeper, you'll find examples, for example, autonomous robots. And robots are, in fact, a part of Industry 4.0 for manufacturing segment for a long time. But imagine robots on the shop floor, which are then controlled by an edge cloud, which is again there, which is able to then enhance the productivity, because robots can move at the speed that you want to. So you can use it for machine delivery, you can use it for machine repairs, you can use it in hazardous areas. And all of this, Sumit, is being enabled through a cloud infrastructure, because it is not now important for that all that data to go back to the data center in one location. Everything, all computing and all those decisions are happening in real time, because those decisions have to be made now. You cannot wait for the decision to come back to you. So factories are becoming more digitally enabled. They are developing the smart infrastructure at the edge, that is at the factory, and decisions are being made there, and it's enhancing the productivity, I think, multifold. But the important thing is there's no longer a need for a big monolithic data center to do the job. You're actually doing it distributed, but still managing it through a central console. And that's what I think at Shro Systems we are trying to help customers.
Sandeep, taking this ahead, the question that customers must be having is, how do I move my system to the hybrid cloud? So what's your advice to viewers about what are some steps, some processes that can be moved to the hybrid cloud for some quick wins that can happen quickly, efficiently for customers?
So I think every organization as a part of the industry is on their own path from a digital journey. Okay, and there would be certain business outcomes which are linked to digitizing various operations. Now, when an organization is on their path, the challenges come. Today, technologies are known. The challenges are basically how you can have the right architecture, okay, such that you can bring the resiliency for an organization. And what it means is organizations will probably have multiple platforms, and you will have platforms which will be on the public cloud. They are today. You will also have platforms where the internal systems, let's say the plant or the shop floor system, probably can be on a platform. Then you have an enterprise data system for some of the other applications on another platform. The key thing is how you can interlink these systems in a fairly secure manner. At the same time, you can then use data which can flow seamlessly across all these. So rather than try for quick wins, I think the wins will be decided by what outcomes one would want to do as a part of digital journey. But I think the approach would be to kind of define a particular architecture such that the data can flow seamlessly across multiple platforms.
Right.
And then end of the day, one can capture the data, then analyze it, so that makes it usable for systems or for people the way we are talking about. Now, how does one build such kind of an architecture? So there are obviously a few ways. First and foremost, I think is not to get locked into any technology island, whether it is private or public or whatever, because you can't have everything private, nor can you have everything on the public cloud, right? So that's a big issue. The second thing is probably use technology stack, which is kind of composable, can build on short notice. You can also then move data across various systems, so it needs to conform to various standards. And then you can actually use tools such that can harness and give the best output or the best analytic insights that are required. Now these tools can reside anywhere, and every system or every organization might have a certain set of tools. So in summary, I feel probably investing in the right tools and process to define this architecture, I think would be a key approach for organizations to go forward.
Binita, coming to you next, just carrying this ahead at Saint-Gobain GNO, how have you put into place the digital transformation on the factory floor, and how have you brought about this transformation with partners like HPE and Shro systems? How have they been important, critical in this transformation for your company?
See, business is transforming every day. Any opportunity what business is getting, they don't want to lose it. And to do that, I mean, what from IT we can contribute is we can just enable the expectation of business. And to do that, it is very important that we should have a ready platform available with us and with the partners who are the technical partners associated for all enablement. I mean, they help us to do that. And with that, from their help, probably we are able to build the base to meet business expectation. For example, according to my experience, the things which were earlier on-prem hosted, those migrating it on a better platform like hybrid platform, which are the revenue generation for us, those critical application we migrated, and then we focused only on the application part which was required as a business enablement.
Anirudh, when we talk about just again more customers who are using the cloud, your experience, what are some of the big changes, big trends that you're seeing in the smart factories using Industry 4.0? Also, just your thoughts on this digital transformation that's happening.
So, Sumit, everything is around experience right now. So, if you look at it from everybody is trying to drive a customer experience, also employee experience, right? And if you look at factories are transforming, gone are the times when the factories used to be those dark, old warehouses where production used to happen. Now they become smart, they become state of the art. Even they're attracting new skills and new talent is coming in, because it's not only that talent is moving toward IT software companies. Now people are going towards smart manufacturing and digital technology enabled factories. So that's one important statement that we need to look at from a talent skill gap perspective. But from an experience perspective, if you look, imagine if I can create, and when I go to customers and in the manufacturing and enterprises, we're trying to build solutions around how we can give an experience to an employee within that factory. So I think the intelligent worker is coming in, and intelligent machines are also there. And it's all centered around what experience that the business is able to drive. And so factories have got a huge amount of areas where digitization is happening. And as Shro systems, I'm just saying a small example as network. We are talking about cloud, but imagine a lot of networks have to be enhanced to be able to drive and push that experience, right? So the networks is one area where we're focusing on. We're going to customers saying, hey, let's build the next generation network. On top of the network, we can drive an experience for you. And that networks will again become areas to connect to the cloud, whether it's private, whether it's public. So a lot of investment, and I'm very happy to note Indian companies are investing very heavily, very, very solidly. I don't think they realize the potential of technology, and customers are doing a great job in putting technology first.
Sandeep, one concern always happens with people when they want to talk about, the mission critical systems moving to the cloud. That becomes a big concern, because they'll be like, how do I move it to a hybrid cloud, or thoughts that happen on that. So can you just elaborate on some of the services that are a part of your cloud offerings and how you help them to adopt this hybrid cloud while ensuring that mission critical systems are well taken care of?
Today, the advantage of of cloud or always on connectivity, what we're talking about, is the expectation is also to be always on, right? So the expectation is like close to 100% SLA, no downtime. You need to have alternate platforms available in case you want to take a planned downtime and so on. So that would put more stress actually on the IT system to kind of meet these new requirements and expectations. I think there are multiple tools. The essential part is the data which I mentioned, and therefore organizations are looking at having different copies of data. So if I have certain part of information which is available on-prem, I can probably take copies or back it up onto the cloud, and I can do that vice versa. So that you can also use this to kind of probably prevent some of the cyber attacks that can happen. And some stuff like this then leads to better availability and better planning around the systems. Now, in terms of what HPE Enterprise helps organizations do that, I think we work with the organizations, the customer organization, very carefully in terms of understanding where they are as a part of the cloud journey, and then we need to look at helping them implement the right systems and technologies such that they are closer to the outcome that they want to do. So we work very closely with customers and help them plan and design this.
Okay, fantastic. Anirudh, any inputs from you on the same point? Would you like to add to that?
So I think when you look at mission critical applications, SLA, for example, is a super critical conversation, because that watertight SLA will define whether the mission critical applications will move to the cloud and how they will perform in the cloud. And from a customer standpoint, is again core applications that are moving to the cloud. So we at Shro Systems put a lot of thrust on the SLA, and we make it flexible to suit the customer. So whether the customer wants that mission critical application to have high availability and what kind of high availability and in what percentage they want it, we will all configure that. And that's what cloud is doing. It is making it very flexible for the customer. It is also we are able to define based on what applications, what infrastructure is required, and that entire construct is then becoming more like a conversation contractually, where both of us are, the skin in the game is there, right? I mean, we are building the plane and we are helping it fly too. So in simply said, I think it's just the mission critical infrastructure or any data or any application. And I think data is a new currency, as they call it, from a factory standpoint also, because huge amount of data are generated in a factory. So we need to make a lot of sense of it.
Exactly. That's the most important thing, because data as such is great, but when it's interpreted, analyzed correctly, that's when it just becomes fantastic.
Cloud is helping us do that with the proper SLA, with the proper technology.
Binita, moving ahead, in companies, they approach digitalization, whatever you call it, in two ways. One way is saying that it's just an upgrade. The second way, where it becomes more inbuilt and it becomes more about transformation. That is, I feel, the switch, the thing that makes it different. How did you go about approaching digital at your company? What's been your experiencing? We're getting mission critical elements like ERPs or onto the cloud.
See, as Anirudh said, like data is a new currency. So taking data as a very important factor for any analytics. These days, if you see on shop floors, all connected components are working. They are generating, every second one data, and not to be missed any of the data, because if you are manufacturing anything, it is important to capture data while you manufacture. So one has to be very analytical how these has to be factored as a critical or non-critical. So all those critical data has to be on cloud, so that we will have a peace of mind based on the availability of those data, and non-critical data will be monitored and kept inside, so that at the end of the day, every data, whatever is critical for any manufacturing company, those are kept properly without any miss.
Sandeep, one concern is just getting things implemented, because it's a change. It's easy to say technology, but it goes into the very base fabric, the core of an organization, to bring about some change. And it's not easy, because it has to go from the top to bottom, bottom to top, all through. Your experience, how do you help CIOs, figure out the ways that they can add speed, simplicity, most importantly scale to their business with the help of the cloud?
It's very important for the partner organization and the customer organization to probably have clear understanding on what the objectives of a particular project or a transformation are. This is very critical. Communication, absolutely super important in terms of having the well-defined milestones and review mechanisms. At the same time, whatever tools or technologies are being adopted or implemented, they need to be flexible. With regards to getting scale, I think there are multiple ways one can do that. Besides the choice of tools and technologies that one can do and identifying the architecture or a platform, I think it is also important for organizations to really get the agility in place. So no vendor lock-ins, right platform technologies and the interoperation integration tools that are required for different platforms to talk to each other can definitely give the necessary scale to meet the organization objectives.
Absolutely, most important there. Anirudh, what is the future ahead, lying on the way ahead for hybrid cloud?
I mean, I would just say dream it, and we'll be talking about it because that's how technology is evolving, and it's at such rapid pace. Because it'll be surprising to see the amount of technology play that will come into our lives. It has already come, but it will kind of enhance. And then it will be important for the for humans like us to kind of moderate that technology to make it more relevant. Otherwise, it should not overtake us. Yeah. But having said that, I think exciting times ahead. When you look at use cases, the value cases that are coming out is tremendous, whether it's medical research, whether it's pharmaceuticals, whether it's manufacturing, auto manufacturing, the entire industry, if you dissect and see, there are so many use cases where technology is enabling the next advancement of innovation. And I believe as partners, both HPE and Shro systems, we play a very important role in bringing those technologies to life within the customer places, because there are a lot of technologies which can be there, but they have to be integrated to drive business outcomes. Our job is to simplify the technology, to make it more relevant to people, make our human lives more better.
Absolutely, Anirudh. Very important point there. Binita, as we wrap up the panel, last question to you. Of course, the cloud we've discussed is changing things so much. But in your experience, how can it impact both large organizations as well as small and maybe all the mid-sized organizations also? What are your thoughts on that?
This is a very important question for audience to know that how cloud is changing our decisions in day-to-day life. For example, if I take from my experience, for even small organization or startup organization, if there are 5 or 10 or 50 users, they have to build the entire digital factory. There has to be some security, availability, monitoring, and other device availability also has to be there. But you look the difference with cloud mailing access coming, and if it is a mailing on cloud, then probably it is scalable also, security is also taken care, and there is no need to put any in-house resource to monitor them. Yes. So that's a very big difference we are able to feel in our day-to-day life. So I would say that there is a very bright future. And also with this current situation, whatever we are facing the challenge of lead time, I mean for any scalability side, if you see anything business is transforming, IT is ready to enable them. So I would say this is the takeaway of the technology to adopt, or we will say to leverage and look on IT to enable business.
Absolutely, very well put. Thank you so much, Binita, for that. Thank you, Anirudh, and thank you, Sandeep, for being here. It's been a totally thought-provoking discussion. Thank you so much. You've been watching Hybrid Cloud Enabling the Factory of the Future in association with HPE and Shro Systems. It's been a complete thought-provoking discussion, and we've gone in deep into all the impact of the hybrid cloud in manufacturing, in fact, in businesses across the spectrum. Thank you so much for watching.